Welcome to our daily top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis. In this video, you will hear me talk about my technical analysis, my overall sentiment, and my trade setups for two different scenarios. The first scenario is for those who already have a position in any of these 10 stocks. The second scenario is for those who are still in the planning stage on whether or not they will play or trade these names. So today, this update is for March 6, 2018. My name is Jaycee De Guzman. Let's begin. So the top 5 gainers that we will be talking about today are ICT, MPI, SMPH, GTCAP, and CHP. The top 5 losers, on the other hand, are Green, ZHI, Web, ECP, and IRC. Let's start with ICT. While I'm pulling up the chart for ICT, I'd like to inform you that aside from discussing what I see on the chart, I will also be talking about the dividend announcements for that particular stock, if there's any. And thirdly, I'll be discussing the volume review for all of these 10 stocks that I'm going to talk about. So here you go. So as of March 6, 2018, ICT closed at 116.50. So apparently it went below the midterm support at 114.30 per share. And the major support that we're looking at right now is at 108.40, while the major resistance is at 121.45. But as we can see for on the chart right now, as of March 7, it went back above 114.30 level. So we are yet to see if this is sustainable because it's just been a few minutes past the opening bell as of March 7 trading. Yesterday's volume was actually above the 10-day volume average of ICT. So seeing that green candlestick and seeing a volume bar that's above its 10-day volume average, for me that's a bullish signal. That's 1 point for the bulls. As far as the position or alignment of the moving averages, I like what I'm seeing right now. First, let's talk about the alignment of the moving averages. The shorter term ones are above the longer term ones. So in this case, I like that the green is above the red and the red is above the blue line. These ones. So this is a bullish indicator as well for me. And but as of yesterday, there's just one thing that I was expecting, or we want to see on ICT, especially that ICT, especially for those who still would want to play on this particular stock. What we want to see is for the price to regain its position above the 10-day simple moving average, because when that happens and you have had a position in this particular stock, then that's an indication that the ascent in price could be sustainable, especially if it comes with a towering volume, particularly above the 10-day volume average. Okay, so that's where we are at now. On the other hand, MACD still has a lot of work to do. I think the price of ICT must break out above the resistance at 121.45 for us to see this MACD line moving above, crossing above the signal line. On the other hand, ICT has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 30.35. From the foreign investors, for year to date, ICT is on a net foreign buying year to date, and foreign investors have started to show some interest on ICT beginning the second week of February. But again, it starts their appetite to continuously accumulate on ICT. I think it has started to dissipate again this March. So as you can see here, the net foreign trade bars pointed to the north have started to, they have failed to match the height of those net foreign trade bars that foreign investors registered since the second week of February. So there you go. That's where foreign investors are standing right now. Now let's talk about the dividends. Is there any dividend announcement for ICT? No, there's none for 2019 as of today. Now let's take a look at the volume review for ICT as of um, this morning. So at this particular moment, ICT is at 115.50, and if there's a particular range that you need to monitor, that would be between 115 and 115.40, this range. Because this is the range that got the biggest volume, and it got also the highest number of trades. Okay, 115 to 115 up to 115.40. And as of this time of speaking, a few minutes past the opening bell on March 7, net foreign is at it's the net foreign selling amounting to 3 million pesos. It's still a pretty young trading day, I would say so. Okay, so my overall sentiment for ICT is neutral to bullish. What makes me neutral? Why not completely bullish? It's because MACD is still below the signal line, and we are yet to see our preferred setup as far as how the 10 SMA and MACD should look like. Are you still, if you are familiar with our 10 SMA and MACD combo, you should know what I'm talking about. And I've written a lot of those things in our private clients forum and in some other videos. Just log in into your account, head on to the videos tab, and you will see, you can watch that video that I recorded about this 10 SMA and MACD thingy. Okay, so my overall sentiment again is neutral to bullish. What should you do if you still have a position in ICT? Remember, I raised the sell signal on ICT when it hit 115. Okay, when it hit 115. Why? Because I based on my data analysis, I saw some signals that the resistance at somewhere here, somewhere at 121 or above 120 would be a strong resistance. So it would be, I think for me it would be, I decided that it would be more prudent to issue a sell signal when it hit the target price at 115. That's not a bad thing because since I added ICT in our investment guide for long-term investing way back 2018, those who were able to buy when I added it on the list, and you sold at 115 per share, more or less 50%, you should have gained more or less 15%. Okay, since its inception in our investment guide for long-term investing until I raised the sell signal when it hit the target price of 115 pesos per share. 50% is not bad in less than less than a year. Okay, we can complain. We can complain with that kind of gain that we had from ICT that ICT gave us. Okay, now what should you do if you still have a position in ICT? I would suggest that if your average price is above is greater than the current price of ICT, recalculate. Make sure that your trailing stop loss is calculated based from your average price or average cost. On the other hand, if your average price is less than the current price of ICT, your trailing stop loss must be based from the current price, which is 115.50 as of this moment of speaking. Now, if you don't have a position in ICT yet, I would suggest that you wait for the price to retrench or retrace rather the previous support or the current support at near 108 pesos point 40 or between 108 and 110. Wait for the price to dive within that level. Okay. Now, if it does not dive within that level and it starts to continue moving to the northward direction, that's the bullish direction, and it breaks out above let's say 121.5, and that breakout came with a significant volume, specifically above the 10-day volume average, then I would say if the price is above the 10 SMA, when that happens and the price is moving above the 10 SMA and MACD crosses already above the signal line, then you can do a test buy. Do a test buy. Okay? So that's my recommended plan of actions, trade setups for those who still have ICT and for those who are still in the planning stage on whether or not you will play the name. Okay? So let's move on to the second top gainer, we have MPI. So let's take a look at the chart of MPI. I think I already talked about MPI in my previous videos. Yep, as of March 5. It was in the top gainer as well, top gainers list last March 5. Now let's take a look at the chart of MPI. In my video for as of March 5, 2019, I think I already gave you a plan. I already gave you a plan for the dividends for MPI. There you go. So just a quick review of that. Every single MPI shares that you will have on your portfolio. Okay, let's do it this way. If you're going to buy new MPI shares before March 15, then those MPI shares are still will be entitled to receive this cash dividend. However, if you will buy on or after March 15, then those new MPI shares will no longer be entitled for this cash dividend. Okay, so that's for the buying side. How about for the sellers? For the selling side. If you will sell your MPI shares before March 15, then those MPI shares that you will sell will not receive this cash dividend. However, if you will sell your MPI shares either on or after March 15, then those MPI shares will still be entitled to receive this cash dividend. Okay? All right. Feel free to rewind this particular video if you didn't quite understand what I mentioned about a while back regarding the on, before, and after scenarios for the sellers. Okay, so that's it. Now let's take a look at the chart of MPI. As of March 6, MPI closed at 4.96 and an intraday high of 5.04, and intraday low of 4.76 was registered. Yesterday's ascent in price was supported with volume. Obviously, this is way above that 10-day volume average, and we like what we're seeing. But we want to see MPI going up some more so that these simple moving averages, particularly their alignment, will realign themselves to our preferred alignment of these moving averages. So what's our preferred alignment again? We want to see these shorter term moving averages to hover above the longer term SMAs. So we want to see the red line above, the red line below it, and then the blue line below the red line. So right now we're seeing the exact opposite of our preferred alignment for the SMAs. Nonetheless, the price is already above the 10-day simple moving average, and MACD finally crosses above the signal line. And now this is a perfect indicator for a buy signal. But even before MACD crosses above the signal line, we have had a buy signal already for MPI. Okay, let's take a look at our long-term investing watch list. Is MPI part of our investment guides for long-term investing? Yes, it is, and it has had this buy signal ever since. Okay, how about ICT? It's no longer in our list. So for MPI, we still have a buy rating. I still have a buy rating for MPI, and my target selling price is at 77.80, which is the resistance actually for MPI. Okay, so if you do have MPI, just head on to the long-term investing watch list. Refresh the page if today's your top up schedule, and buy within these. Anywhere with these are your buying candidates. The prices that you see under the top 5 prices trades, top 5 prices volume, VWAP, top 10 players buying average, and then the top 10 players selling average. So these are your buying candidates. Buying points, candidates for buying points. Okay. Okay. Now, if this strong volume, this bullish volume will continue, then it will be relatively easy for MPI to break out above 5.8. The immediate resistance at 5.8. When that happens, hey, okay, that's what we want to see. Okay, we just need more volume. It's okay. It's okay if today's volume will not be greater than yesterday's volume. But what we want to see really is for the volume to consistently register a daily volume above its 10-day volume average. That's what we want to see. Okay. Now, risk level wise, MPI maintains its low risk level because of its volatility score of 48%. And as of March 6, foreign investors bought 102 million pesos worth of net foreign buying. That's good. That's good. We like that. Support is at 4.56, and apparently, not apparently, but as we see right now, the current price is closer to the resistance than to the support level. So I like that picture. I like that. I like the current situation of MPI. So obviously, I am bullish on MPI right now. That's my overall sentiment. But before I give you my trade setups, let's take a look first at the volume review for MPI. So if you are trading the name, I suggest that you monitor this particular range. And what's that range? Monitor MPI between 4.99 and 5.05. 4.99 and 5.05. Occasionally, or you may also want to separate 5.7. So 4.99 to 5.05, and then you jump to 5.07. So that's the range that you need to monitor, including that single price point at 5.07. For those who are just listening and not really looking on the screen or in the video, I've mentioned that range and that single price point because that's the range and the price point that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades as of this time of speaking. Okay, and the ongoing net foreign trade is at 9 million. It's a net foreign buying, so we like that again. Okay, we like that again. Again, the range that you need to monitor is 4.99 all the way to 5.05, and then you can jump to 5.07. At the moment, MPI is trading at 5.01 per share. So my trade setup for those who have had a position on MPI is just, you can actually top up your position, continue topping up your position, and if you're not comfortable to add more shares, you can just hold your position. Okay, you can hold your position. Now, if you don't have a position on MPI yet and you would like to join the run for long-term investing on this particular stock, then you can actually enter a new position right now. You can buy within the the price points mentioned here. Go to long-term investing tab on your account. Then you type in MPI and then refresh. Take a look at what price points are put in here. Those will be your candidates for a buying price. Okay, so that's it for MPI. Now let's talk about SMPH. SMPH. Does it have any dividend announcement? Let's find out. So let's open the chart first, and then let's go back to the dividend tab. Does it have any dividend announcement? Nope, it does not have any dividend announcement as of March 7, 2019. Okay, now let's talk about the chart of SMPH. So yesterday, SMPH closed at 38.70 with an intraday high of 38.70 and an intraday low of 37.45. Okay, and yesterday's volume, by the way, was way below. It was way below its 10-day volume average, but nonetheless, it was still 50% above its 10-day volume average. Not bad. It wasn't terrible volume, relatively speaking. And besides, the price managed to soar again above the 10-day volume, 10-day simple moving average yesterday. And I like the alignment of the moving averages again. The shorter term ones are above the longer term moving averages. Volume, we want to continue to see SMPH registering daily volumes above its 10-day volume average. If that's not possible, at least should be above 50% of its 10-day volume average. Okay, and MACD, we want to see the price to move above let's say to move closer to the resistance at 39.70 and preferably above 39 or near 39 so that this MACD will close the gap between the MACD and the signal line. What we want to see is the MACD to cross above the signal line, and that can only happen if the price continue to inch higher higher than, perhaps higher than 39 or closer to the resistance at 39.70, and that's where the resistance is, 39.70, and your main support is at 35.40. SMPH has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 35%. Now let's take a look at the volume review for this particular stock. SMPH is currently trading at 38.55, and the range that you need to monitor today, if you would like to trade the name, is between 38.5 to 38.55. Again, 38.5 all the way to 38.55. So just two price fluctuations that you need to monitor as of today, as of this time of speaking. Okay, 38.5 to 38.55. Now, is SMPH in our investment guide for long-term investing? Let's check. Yes, it is, and I have a buy rating. So if today's your top-up schedule for SMPH, just refresh. After visiting the long-term investing tab, you refresh the page and take a look at your candidates for buying. Where should you buy? Your candidates are these 5 columns: top 5 prices, trades, top 5 prices, volume, VWAP, TTP buying average, and TTP selling average. And our target selling price for SMPH is 42.90, and that gives us 11.57% upside potential. Okay. Now, if you don't have if you have SMPH, what's my recommendation? Of course, if we're talking about long-term investing, then it's a buy for me. Okay, continue topping up within those price points that are being updated regularly on the long-term investing guide. If you don't have SMPH, is it too late to enter? Nope. You still have nearly 12% upside potential. You just need to be more conscious and cautious when it comes to the price where you plan to buy. We don't buy at any price here. We don't buy at quote unquote any price. We buy at specific price points. We identify the best price points where we could earn more than just buying at quote unquote any price. So we hate the word any here. We don't do the any kind of thing. We buy at certain price points. We wait at certain price points. And what are those price points that you need to wait, that you need to monitor? Again, go to the long-term investing tab, type in the stock code in the search box, refresh the page, and then you will see the price points under the top 5 prices columns, VWAP, and then the TTP columns as well. So those are the price points that you need to watch out for. Okay? So there you go. We're done with SMPH. Let's now move on to GTCAP. Let's find out also if there's any dividend announcement for GTCAP. Okay, for GTCAP, clicking on the dividends tab now, it has some dividend announcements, but not for common stocks. Not for common stocks. These are all for some preferred stocks. GTTPA, GTTPB, etc., etc. So what you need to look out for is the word common. That's your keyword when looking for dividend announcement for these stocks. Okay, so far GTCAP common shares, there are no dividend announcements yet for 2019 as of this time of speaking for GTCAP common shares. Okay, now let's find out what we see on the chart of GTCAP. Yeah, on March 6, GTCAP closed at 975 pesos per share, and its volume was actually above its 10-day volume average. We like that. We like that. I like that. However, the price was a few ticks or a few fluctuations below the 10-day simple moving average, but that's better than seeing the price than seeing the volume below the 10-day volume average. So still, yesterday's price performance and volume registration weren't that bad, so it's okay. But we want to see the price to increase its increase or close the distance between to close the distance and to inch closer rather to the resistance at 1065. That's the resistance, 1065, and the support is at 839 pesos per share. we prefer to see the price to inch closer to the resistance so that the 10 SMA will cross above the 50-day simple moving average, and that will be a golden cross if that happens. And we want to see golden cross and not death crosses actually, especially if we are interested in the name. Okay. But let's double check. Is GTCAP part of our long-term investment for uh, investment guide for long-term investment? Yes, it is, and I have a buy rating for GTCAP. Our target selling price is at 1,430, and that gives us an upside potential of about 46%. We're talking about long-term investing here, guys. Huh? We're not just talking about 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years. We're talking about perhaps it's possible for this target selling price to be hit this year. It's possible it will be hit next year's summer. It's possible that it won't be hit until 2022. So these are the possibilities. We're looking at a long-term horizon here. We're not interested. We are invested on GTCAP. We are interested to earn, but we are not in a hurry. Okay, so I want you to, especially for the newbie investors, I want you to be aware of the time horizon involved when we talk about long-term and short-term trading, long-term investing and long-term trading. We want to earn in both strategies, in both time horizons, but we have to set the right expectations that in long-term investing we should not be in any way in a hurry. We should not hurry when we are into long-term investing. And we should not also enter short-term trading if we don't have the time and the experience to monitor the stock market. Okay? It's okay to, do a test buy, but do it minimally. Do it minimally so that you're not risking too much, especially if it's your first time to try short-term trading. Okay? But going back to the chart of GTCAP, I'd like to comment about MACD. Another reason why I want the price of GTCAP to inch closer to the resistance at 1,065 pesos per share is for me to see the MACD line crossing above the signal line. Right now, it's still relatively looking good because MACD has already bent from the southward going to the northward direction, and it seems to be poised to do a bullish divergence. I'm sorry, to do a bullish divergence with the signal line, and I like that. But yep, that's it. Now let me make some comments about the net foreign trade. For 2019 year to date, I would say that GTCAP is still on. I think it's hard to guess by just looking at the histogram of the net foreign trade. It's okay. It's not really that hard. I think GTCAP is still on a net foreign buying status as of 2019 year to date. Moreover, GTCAP still has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 46%. Okay, now let's take a look at the volume review for GTCAP. At the moment, GTCAP is at 981 pesos per share, and its ongoing net foreign trade is a net foreign selling rather, amounting to 6 million pesos. And what's the particular range that you need to monitor if you are to trade the name today? You have to watch out for 980 all the way to 981.5. Again, 980 up to 981.5. That's the range that got the biggest volume, and that's the range as well that got the highest number of trades. Again, 980 all the way to 981.5. My overall sentiment on GTCAP is neutral to bullish. Neutral to bullish. As you can see here, okay, it doesn't mean I have a buy rating. A buy rating for me does not necessarily mean that I'm completely bullish on the stock. Okay, because I want to avoid that kind of bias sentiment, not because GTCAP is in our investment guide for long-term investing, not because I have a buy rating for it. It doesn't mean that I'm going to say that I have a completely bullish sentiment towards that stock. No, that's not how I do things here. Okay, even though it's part of our long-term investment guide, even though I have a buy rating for GTCAP, even though I want GTCAP, I still have a neutral to bullish sentiment, overall sentiment based on what I see right now. Why neutral? Why not completely bullish? Because MACD is still yet to cross above the signal line. Okay? And Besides, I still want to see support coming from the foreign investors. I want a sense of consistency of in terms of net foreign buying, and not not something like a in and out kind of sentiment coming from the foreign investors. And also, I want to see some consistency in seeing a green candlestick coupled by a towering volume, preferably above its 10-day volume average. And lastly, I still want to see the 10 SMA moving above the red line, above the 50-day simple moving average. So there are many things that I still would want to see on GTCAP for me to um, produce a completely bullish sentiment on this issue. Okay. Now, what should you do if you have had a position on GTCAP? Well, continue topping up. It's in our long-term investment guide for long-term investing. Where should you buy? Again, not on any price. Go to our long-term investing tab from your account. Type in GTCAP here and then take a look at these 5 columns. That's where you need to park your buying price. If you don't have GTCAP, is it too late? Nope, it's not too late. But if you have the time to monitor, the extra time to monitor, I would suggest you buy near 930 or below 950 if possible. Is it bad to buy right now at 980 or 983 or between that range that I gave a while back? Nope. It's not bad to buy right now. But again, if you have the time to monitor, try to monitor the price to inch closer somewhere near or below 950. Okay, so that's it for GTCAP. Now let's move on to the next one. We have CHP. Haven't I discussed CHP in the past? Oh, not yet. Okay, this is the first time that I'm going to talk about CHP since I started this daily top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis. Who among you have CHP? I am keen to see if it has a dividend announcement. 0. No dividend announcement as of today. Now let's take a look at the chart of CHP. As of March 6, CHP closed at 2.5, 2.58 per share rather. Okay. And that price was actually moving above the 10-day simple moving average. However, the blue line, the 200-day simple moving average, still above both the 10 SMA and 500 SMA. Meaning to say, CHP is still bearish on a long-term scale. It can only be bullish on a long-term scale once the price goes above the blue line, which is the 200-day SMA, and the 200-day SMA going below the red line, the 50-day SMA. So in short, we want to see the green line first, followed by the red line, and then at the very bottom, the blue line. Okay, meaning to say again, CHP is bullish on the short term, but bearish still on the long term. Okay, yesterday's volume was quite impressive because the green candlestick was supported by a volume that was above its 10-day volume average. And also MACD crossed above the signal line. Wow, that was a buy indicator if you are into short-term trading on this particular stock. The ascending price was supported with volume and pop, there you go. It went above the 10 SMA and MACD crossed above the signal line. That combination is a buy indicator for me. Okay. How about the year-to-date net foreign sentiment? Let's take a look since this January 2. It's easy to say that CHP is on a net foreign selling status year-to-date. Okay. And it has a moderate risk level because of its volatility score of 62%. Major resistance is at 2.74, while the immediate support is at 2.21. Again, resistance is at 2.74, support is at 2.21. If it breaks out above 2.74, the next resistance would be 3.61. If it breaks down below 2.21, wait for it to inch closer to 1.62. Okay? So let's take a look now at the volume review for CHP. At the moment, CHP is trading at 2.60 per share, and it has a net foreign trade of 1.8 million pesos worth of net foreign buying. And here are the price points that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. Again, if you're trading the name for short-term trading basis, you have to monitor these price points. And what are those price points? Monitor 2.59, monitor 2.58 to 2.60, 2.58 to 2.60. As soon as it goes below 2.58, you watch out for 2.53 to 2.56, that level. Okay, so if you're trading the name, watch out for 2.58 to 2.60. Okay, and I would suggest that if you are trading the name, post a request for my updated volume review analysis in our private clients forum, because it's the first half of today's trading is not yet finished. We still have a few more hours for trading, and a lot of things can still happen. Okay, now what's my overall sentiment on CHP? On the short term, I am bullish on CHP. Okay, I am bullish on CHP. If what should you do if you have a position on CHP? Depends. Is your average price below 2.21? If yes, then you have to calculate your trading stop loss from its current price of 2.59. So you can still hold or top up some more. Okay? If your average price is somewhere near 2.70 and the current price is lower than your average price, then you have to respect your trailing stop loss. And make sure that your trailing stop loss is computed from your average price or average cost. Okay? It's up to you then if you would like to top up. Okay? Short-term trading. Now, if you don't have a position on CHP yet, I'm sure you'd like to know, is it okay, quote unquote okay, to enter a new position on CHP? Take note that it's now much closer to its resistance than to its support. So you have to ask yourself, what is my reward to risk ratio here as far as the resistance and the support are concerned? Resistance and support levels are concerned, 2.74 to 2.21 respectively. If you are happy with your reward to risk ratio and you think you have the experience and your risk level is quite high already, then you can do a test buy. You can do a test buy, but you have to consider the fact that it's possible for the price to bounce away once it hits closer to 2.74, because that's what happened in the last week of January 2019. It kissed the 2.74 mark, but it bounced away when it hit that resistance level. And then it bounced away again when it hit the support at 2.21. So history might repeat itself. It's either it will bounce away or it will continue its uptrend direction. All you have to do is monitor volume, because if it inches closer to the resistance at 2.71 and if it shows a towering volume, it's possible that the ascending price might continue, but not always the case. Why? Why did I say that? Take a look at this. Last January 31, the price crossed the line at the resistance level. It crossed the line. It was a towering volume, but the ascent in price was not sustained. Because why? Traders thought that CHP was already priced too high at 2.74, and it was hard to ignore not to rake in their profits. So they sold their shares to rake in their profits. Okay, that same sentiment may happen again once the price hits 2.74. So this is the reason why technical analysis, fundamental analysis is not an exact science. Okay, no one can say that hey guys, when the candlestick is green and when the volume bar is above the 10-day volume average, exact science says that the price will never go down again. Nope, it's not an exact science. Okay, we're just trying to come up with some projections, data-driven projections, instead of purely instinct-based forecasts. So because we're not trying to eliminate risk here, we're just trying to reduce the risk. Okay, because it's riskier to make a forecast based on just instinct, based on what you think, feel, and believe. But you can reduce the risk. You can have a calculated risk if your forecast is based on historical data, okay, on data, okay? So what's my overall sentiment on CHP? I think I already mentioned a while back. I'm bullish on the short term. I also gave you my trade setups and recommendations. If you have a position or you're still planning to, whether or not you will play the name. Okay? So that's it for CHP. Now let's see. Okay, we're done with the top 5 gainers. Now let's talk about the top 5 losers, beginning with green. And it sounds familiar. I think I covered it already I covered that last February 27 and March 1. Now, green appeared again in the top 5 losers list as of March 6. Green. Does it have any dividend announcement? Let's find out. Okay, let's take a look at. Okay, zero dividend announcement for green energy. Green energy. Let's move on to the chart of green. Resistance has not changed. It's still at 3.5. Support is still at 2.90. And as of yesterday's trading, um, as of March 6 trading, green closed at 3.05 and it was actually 15 centavos away from breaking down below the support at 2.90. And right now, it's priced at 3.00. It's just 10 centavos away from breaking down below the support at 2.90 again. Okay? And the price is already below the 10-day simple moving average. If you have this stock and that's not what you want to see. MACD has also increased the gap between the signal line and the MACD in favor of the in favor of the bears. That's not what you want to see as well if you have green. This stock also has a moderate risk level because of its volatility score of 63%, and it's just 7 points away from getting the high risk status. I'm not going to factor in the participation of foreign investors on green because it's an insignificant amount. Now, I just want to highlight this support level. If it breaks down below 2.90, and that particular line support level, by the way, is in confluence with 61.8% Fibonacci retracement. And if it's a completely bearish signal, if it breaks below 2.90, when that happens, I would suggest you wait for the price near 2.34. It's not an automatic buy, guys. It's not an automatic buy when the price goes below 2.90. It's not an automatic buy again if the price hits 2.34. You have to reassess the situation. Will the price, what's the probability of the price going down further from here? That's what you need to see, what you need to check. You have to reassess every time the price hits a certain support or resistance level. Okay? There you go. So let's take a look at the volume review for green. Right now it's priced at 3.02 and the net foreign trade is actually a net foreign buying amounting to 3.6 million, still an insignificant amount. But if you have the name, especially if you are inclined into cutting your losses, you have to monitor this particular range. And what is it? It's between 2.95 to 3.0. That's what you need to monitor. 2.95 to 3.0, that's the price. That's the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. Again, 2.95 to 3.00. Okay? So if you have green and you would want to know the latest volume review for this particular stock, you can post your request inside our private clients forum. And obviously, my overall sentiment for green is bearish. Okay, I am bearish on green. If you have a position on this stock, follow your trailing stop loss. Okay, I'm not going to advise that you average down. Actually, I hate the phrase average down. You don't average down for the sake of seeing your average cost going down. You only average down if there is there is a domestic or international catalyst or reason or whatever you want to call it that would warrant, that would make it logical, that makes it, that would give it more sense or worthy to buy, to buy the dips. You don't average down for the sake of seeing your average price going down. You average down because it's worth it. Okay? It's worth it. So in this case, don't average down. Cut your losses if your trailing stop loss is hit. And if you don't have a position on green yet, continue monitoring these support levels that I've mentioned a while back that you see on your screen. Okay, and then reassess the situation once those support levels are being hit one by one. Okay, there you go for green. Now let's move on to the next one, ZHI. I think ZHI has appeared too many times in my previous daily top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis. And I've been talking about Z for 5 days. In February 18, 28, March 4, March 5, and for March 6. Okay, let's take a look at, I think ZHI does not have any dividend announcement, but let's double check. Yep, it's still the same case. Where is Z right now? Previously, where did it appear? Did it appear in the top 5 gainers list or losers list? Okay, mixed. Sometimes it's in the top gainers list, sometimes it's in the top losers list. But as of March 6, when was the last time that I talked about ZHI? Just yesterday, March 5. March 5. March 5, I said in that video that I was bearish on ZHI, therefore it continued to move in the bearish direction again. As of March 6, ZHI closed at 0.38, and although that price was still above the 10-day simple moving average, MACD continues to dive and position itself into crossing below a death cross, okay, below the signal line. So my overall sentiment on ZHI remains bearish. Resistance is at 0.41. Support is at 0.31. If it breaks down below 0.37, 0.37, then reassess the situation once the price hits 0.34. Again, because if these red candlesticks are being registered with a red volume bar that is above the 10-day volume average, then it's more likely for the price to continue moving to the northward direction, going to the north, southward direction rather. I stand corrected. So that's a bearish indicator when it's a red candlestick and it's a red volume bar, and that red volume bar is moving above the 10-day volume average, meaning to say the traders of this stock are quite convinced already that it's not worth holding the name, worth holding the stock or shares. Okay, there you go. So if you don't have a position on Z, good, continue monitoring for now. If you have a position on Z and your average price is greater than the current price, sell. Sell at a loss. Trim your losses when your trailing stop loss is hit. Okay? Alright. So let's take a look at the volume review for Z. If you have this stock and you would like to trade the name, okay, not to buy. I don't encourage that you buy more of ZHI. Maybe if you will trade the name, that's in the selling side. Okay, so this is the range that you need to monitor. I suggest you monitor. It's between 0.37 and 0.38. Again, 0.37 all the way to 0.38. That's the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades so far as of this time of speaking. Okay. Foreign investors' participation is not even worth mentioning. It's only at 300,000 pesos worth of net foreign selling. Okay, so I've given you my overall sentiment for ZHI and my trade setups for those who have a position and for those who are thinking of entering a new position. Don't bother thinking entering a new position yet. Okay, yet. for ZHI. Now let's take a look at the next stock in the list. We have Web. Did I already talk about Web in the past? I did last March 5. That's why it sounds familiar to me. Web. Does it have any dividend announcement? I think last March 5 I did not see any dividend announcement for Web. Yep, no dividend announcement yet. So let's just take a look at the chart of Web and let's do a volume review later. Oops. Just like what I mentioned last March 5, that the bearish price action of Web was highly likely to continue. And it did. It does, actually. It went below the support at 2.91. In fact, I gave you its psychological support near 2.30. Well, let's see from here. If Web traders think that Web is already quote-unquote ridiculously cheap, ridiculously too cheap to ignore, now that it's below 2.90, then they might want to buy back those shares. But apparently, as few how many minutes? Maybe about 60 minutes past the opening bell of today, March 7, volume is still relatively too low. So if they think that Web is actually too cheap at 2.80 or 2.82, then they should have already registered a towering volume by now. So it's possible that they are interested in the name, but they are still eavesdropping with the other traders' positions or motives, or shall we say, next plan of actions. So everyone else is still waiting for the moves of the other traders. So as soon as they see someone, as soon as they see a broker buying a significant amount of shares, maybe that would trigger for the sentiment to reverse from the bearish side to the bullish side. But until then, continue monitoring on Web. I still don't see any reason to buy back, to hurry up in buying back or in entering a new position on Web. So again, there you go for Web. So main support is now at 2.31, and the previous support at 2.91 has been broken down already, and Web is already priced in at 2.84. The acting immediate resistance is 2.91. If it regains its position above the 2.91, this 2.91 will become the support level again, and it will put back 3.84 as its major resistance. But I'm all bearish on Web right now based on the volume that I see. Okay, it still has a low risk level, but again, a low risk level is not an automatic signal for you to trade the name. You have to check other factors as well, such as volume, the position of the alignment of the moving averages, the position of the price vis-a-vis with 10-day SMA, the position of MACD, and the signal line, those things. Okay, so I'm bearish on Web still. But if you have the name, let's say you are in the position to let's say to cut your losses, which particular price range should you monitor? I would say you monitor the price range between 2.77 and 2.84. Actually, it's not even worth monitoring that entire range. Why? Because I only see about 17 trades, 14 trades, 16 trades, 13 trades that have happened within those individual price points. 2.77 to 2.84. That's how low volume is. Okay? But if we are to pick a range, that's the range that you need to monitor. 2.77 to 2.84. So far, as of the time of speaking, that's the price range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. Okay? And the net foreign trade is not even worth mentioning. It's just a measly amount of 322,000 pesos worth of net foreign selling. That adds up to my bearish sentiment on Web actually. Okay, if you have a position on Web, I think I mentioned this statement as well last March 5. I said there that if you have a position on Web, what are you doing in this stock? Okay, why are you holding this stock still? So respect your trailing stop loss. Have mercy to yourself. Okay, don't be too hard on yourself. There are a lot of there are other stocks that are worth trading. Okay, You don't only have a web on the Philippine Stock Exchange. Okay. Now, if you don't have a position on this stock, do not rush. Um, it's either you wait near 2.31, or if it goes back above 2.90, take a look if the volume picks back up once it crosses above 2.90 again. A breakout above 2.91 with strong volume is a signal for me to reconsider doing a test buy. Okay, so take note of that. So, but that's my sentiment for web. Now let's take a look at the next stock. Let's take a look at ECP. Looks like I talked about ECP as well in the past. Oh yeah, ECP, March 5. So for ECP, does it have any dividend announcement? Let's find out. Zero dividend announcement for ECP. So let's just take a look at its chart. Is there anything new about ECP? Okay, let me plot again my support and resistance for this stock. Okay, so the immediate support is at 14.25. The immediate resistance is at 19.6. Make it 19.10 if you would like to round it up. Okay, and the major support is at 4.44. Let's not even talk about 4.54 yet until it breaks down below 14.25. And let's not talk about 25.90 until it breaks out above 19.10 or even 19. As of March 6 trading, ECP closed at 15.90, 15.90, and as of the time of speaking, it's already trading lower than 15.90, specifically 15.22 a piece. Yes, the volume as of March 6 was above the 10-day volume average, and I think there's a liquidity issue on ECP. Okay, I think I also mentioned this on my analysis for ECP last March 5 on the March 5th video. I'm not interested in the name ECP actually. There's a liquidity issue. I think it's not worth the time and money. Okay, and it's still moving sideways. It has been moving sideways since when? Since December last year. So it has just only been trading the range. What range? 14.25 all the way to 19 to 20 or 21 or 19 to 14.25. Okay, so there you go for ECP. Maybe add ECP. Maybe you can add ECP on your watch list once it breaks down below 14.25 or once it breaks out above 19.6. Any breakdown or breakout should it's interesting to see if it's accompanied with a strong volume. Again, any breakout or breakdown would be very much interesting to monitor if it happened with a significant volume. But if the breakdown or the breakout happens with a flimsy volume, meh, just ignored it. Ignore the stock then. So, but if you are trading the name today, ECP, just for the sake of discussing this, the price points that got the biggest volume today are, or the range is 15.30 all the way to 15.36. 15.30 to 15.36, and then we also got 15.20. So between 15.30 and 15.36, I would rather say monitor it at below 15.20 instead. Okay, so that's it for ECP. I am completely bearish on ECP. Now let's talk about the last one. We have IRC. Does IRC have a dividend announcement? It's familiar to me as well. I think I talked about IRC in the past. Oh, not yet. So let's take a look. Take a look at its dividend announcement if it has any. IRC, oh yeah, there is a property dividend, but the ex-dividend date is yet to be announced, and the dividend rate is yet to be announced as well. So there you go. IRC. Let's discuss the chart instead for now. So I'm going to plot the support and resistance levels for IRC. Okay, so let me plot the midterm ones, the midterm support and resistance levels. The immediate support of IRC is now at 1.74, and immediate resistance, which was the previous support 2 weeks ago, is 2.18. Right now, IRC is priced at 1.86, and it is much closer. It is closer to the support than to the resistance, so that adds up to that's another point for the bears. And more than that, the price has been moving below the 10-day SMA and the 200-day SMA. In other words, IRC is bearish both in the long term and short term scales. Okay, and I don't like the alignment of the moving averages right now, actually. Although the blue line, the 200-day SMA, is below the two shorter term ones, the green line is moving below the red line. And I also see some volatility, liquidity issues here. I don't like the volume. I don't like the volume at all, especially for in February. Volume was better between September to last year all the way to November. Between September and November, I like that volume last year, because that I think I want to see this kind of volume for me to consider IRC as a tradable stock, as a tradable name. But unless and until I see this kind of volume, similar to what it registered last September, was it September? Yeah, September to November last year, 2018. This stock won't even worth it to have a space in my watch list, I would say. Okay, MACD is bearish. Risk level is still low with its volatility score of 49%. The participation of foreign investors is not even worth mentioning. Not worthy to factor it into our decision or overall sentiment. But if you are trading the name, here are the price range that you need to watch out for. And by the way, I wouldn't recommend that you trade IRC, at least for now. Just monitor it if you are interested in the name, if you have a bias on IRC. But for what it's worth, the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades today is the range between 1.84 all the way to 1.86. So 1.84 to 1.86. Okay? Alright, so again, I am completely bearish on IRC. If you have a position on this stock, respect your trailing stop loss. Do not hold your position just because you saw a quote-unquote to be announced property dividends for IRC. I think that would be a silly reason, an illogical reason to let your hands bleed by holding a stock just because it has a to be announced property dividend, even though that you know that you're already losing big time with its capital depreciation. When I say capital depreciation, I'm talking about its price per share. Okay. Make sure that you do the math when your reason for holding is because of dividends, regardless of type, property, cash, stock dividend. Make sure that the dividend that you will get can outpower the capital depreciation that's happening. Because if you're going to, even if you will get that dividend, and then you're going to calculate the amount that you've lost because of capital depreciation, if you're still on a losing end, despite the dividends that you will receive, then it doesn't make sense holding your position on that stock. I have to highlight this one because I spoke to a lot of people before, and I asked them, why are you still holding your position on this particular name stock? Sir, didn't you know that there's a dividend announcement for this stock? Oh yeah, I know. But did you calculate? Did you do the basic arithmetic if you are still a net winner when you get that dividend, considering that the huge capital depreciation that's happening on that stock? And I just got a blank face. What arithmetic, sir? Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so I think that's all for the top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for March 6. So I discussed about ICT, MPI, SMPH, GTCAP, CHP, also Green, ZHI, Web, ECP, and finally IRC. So this is how for the new subscribers, I would like you to know that this is how I want to help you trade independently and invest profitably. I would like to give you my analysis in a simplified version of a technical analysis that won't make your nose bleed. And then I also give you my overall sentiment after seeing all this stuff. Am I bullish, bearish? And then have you noticed I'm also giving you my recommended action plans, the trade setups for two different scenarios. For those who already have the stock and for those who are just planning to have the stock if it's worth trading the name. Okay, so I'm trying to strike a balance in here. So I'm trying to strike a balance for those of you who are interested or just curious about the name. Okay, so every day I produce this kind of video. So if other people would ask you, how does Equilyst Analytics, how does Jaycee De Guzman help you trade independently and invest profitably, then you can tell that you're not being spoon-fed here. There's no spoon-feeding here. You are being equipped, you are being trained, you are being mentored, you are being developed into a trader who knows how to rationalize on his or her own, who is being trained on how to interpret things and be able to replicate the same method on your own, as time goes by. Eventually you will get there. So that's how you're being trained in here. And also there's a private clients forum. I know this is a recorded video and there's no chance for you to raise your hand and say, sir, can I ask a questions? It's impossible to do that here. But we have a private clients forum. You can type in your follow-up questions there, unlike with other services wherein they will just send some newsletters. And there's no other way for you to ask. You don't know whom to ask for your follow-up questions, especially if they're technical ones. But in here, we have a private clients forum wherein you can ask follow-up questions if there's anything that's not quite clear about what you've heard or what you've seen on this video. Okay? So again, my name is Jaycee De Guzman of Equilyst Analytics. Have a great day.